And I think that's really helped Rick this year.
Lastly, our friend Jonas Siegel of the Toronto Sports Media blog has reported.
By the way, the Toronto Sports Media blog guy lives in Seattle.
He lives in Seattle.
He does, yes.
Yeah, he lives in Seattle now. Yeah.
I read that too yesterday about Rogers and Amazon.
Yeah, that Amazon would take over the Monday night hockey slate, and that we'd have a new world where if you want to watch your games on Monday night, you're streaming and you're streaming Amazon.
Yep. Well, all I can say is that when the NFL did it and did it so successfully, not with one group of people, but with two, because Amazon did the regular season and Peacock did a playoff, that legitimized it quickly. There have been plenty of discussions, not just in football, but now in hockey and in basketball for Amazon, who's going to play a role in streaming. Amazon's going to be part of the NBA. I guarantee you that as well. This would not surprise me. I do know in past years there has been senior management at Rogers Corporation that have tried to suggest that they should sell off some of their games. I don't know where the league feels about this. Just as an aside, when Gary became commissioner, the number one rights holder in Canada was not a television network; it was a brewery. And he was not very particularly pleased about not having a direct relationship with the television network. He had to deal through Molson's, and that changed. So having the third-party broadcaster, third-party relationship is one. I wonder if Gary's opinion has changed very much of that. Now, do I think that Gary wants Amazon part of the future? He certainly wants a streaming partner, and Amazon makes as much sense as anybody because they got more money than God. So is this a good 2-year experiment with Amazon? Perhaps. Might be a little risky, but it's just for Canada. It's not in the United States yet. It's just for Canada. And I would suspect then that they would also have to improve their quality of games, because the Monday night package really, there was a lot of dogs on that schedule, particularly early on in the schedule. They had Toronto, Florida. Yeah, last night they had Toronto, Florida, which was a great game to have, but you have to make sure that if you go to that third party, go to Amazon, you give them a good slate of games.
I would agree. I would bet Gary doesn't like the optics of Rogers looking to offload. He would rather be the broker of this deal rather than Rogers.
But I mean, therein lies the problem when you sign 12-year deals for that sort of freight. Right. It's really hard to project the forecast that far in advance, and we know Rogers has taken a beating on this package, and in part because they just haven't had Canadian teams in the playoffs making runs.
Yeah, well, hey, and so here we are, as we talked about 10 minutes ago. I mean, to have 4 teams in the playoffs is a bonus. And the other thing I would suspect, and this is just me because I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together with the story that Jonah broke and get 5. You would have to think that there'd be some level of playoff package in it for Amazon. I'm not sure if I'm Amazon that I would go and buy this package without a playoff round or a series.
A game from every series or something like that. Yeah.
Or listen, Rogers, in our country, Rogers controls all 8 series, right?
Yeah.
So, give them a series. Just give them a series. Doesn't it? And if I was Amazon, I'm not negotiating for them, but if I'm Amazon, I'd say, well, give me a Canadian team. But if push comes to shove, give me a US series, and I control the whole series.
And hey, this is minutia. Maybe the listener doesn't care about this, but it's a fascination for me. Is how is it branded? Like when Rogers is on CBC, it's still Rogers. Is it going to be Rogers on Amazon, or is it going to be Amazon on Amazon?
If you're Amazon, you want to be creative and do things your way.
Yeah, you think.
And I don't, and so that becomes, again, is that part of the negotiation? Who knows whether it's part of the negotiation? The simplest thing would be to take a Rogers product and stick it on Amazon. That would be the simplest.
Yeah.
But
It's also cheap and tacky, I think. And it's Amazon. It's freaking Amazon.
Well, Amazon would then have to, buck up and find a way to deliver and produce and broadcast hockey.
Well, and they've done that with the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
They spent a lot of money, but that's a different market too. That's the United States.
Right.
There's 260 million people versus 40.
That's right.
That's the real challenge.
That's a game is going to tens of millions of people, whereas you may not get a few million people on a hockey game. Correct. I just hope Bezos and the deputies are listening in here, Shannon, because the consulting fees that you just left on table, that you could have otherwise collected had you not been fully honest with our audience, that's something.
I would trade it for a spot on the spaceship and go for a ride with Jeff. That's what I would do.
Jeff.
Jeffrey?
Can I call you Jeff?
How about Mr. B?
Just Mr. B. Something tells me. Yeah. Marvelous stuff, John. We'll catch up next week.